Good evening and welcome to this another edition of the Republican Debate. We shall be focusing on two major topics. The topics, of course, we shall be talking state budget 2023. Why an increase? Given that, of course, the lines 94 and 65 are actually making debate. We know that the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motase, was challenged the other day at the National Assembly by honorables, that is MPs, Cabral Libi and of course Jean-Michel Ninche of the Social Democratic Front. Why an increase in budget in 2023? That will be, of course, our first topic of the day. The second topic of the day would be, of course, Embolo. Is Embolo talking to us? Given that an Embolo scored a goal, they made the difference between in the match between Cameroon and Switzerland. We know that the issue of double nationality is making a lot of noise, and we equally know that Cameroonians have promised, notably the president of the National Football Federation, and equally the coach of the Indomitable Lions, that Cameroon will triumph at the end of the competition. The stakes are there, the challenges are there, the hopes too are still there. Can Cameroon make it at the end of the competition? Next opponent for Cameroon, of course, is Serbia. Will Cameroon win Serbia and equally win Brazil to qualify for the next round of the competition? With football, anything is possible, especially as impossible is not a Cameroonian, or again, impossible n'est pas un Camerounais. As usual, we have men of substance and caliber with us. I'll begin with him. They call him, of course, Dr. Chief Seseko Eyongta Joseph. Certainly, I've forgotten some titles because he has many of them these days.
Excuse me.
Chief Dr. Seseko Eyongta, we say good evening and welcome to the report.
Good evening, Tavi Clarkson. Good evening to the management of Camdis Television. Accept greetings from the people of Manu Division. I just returned from Manu some days back, and I was very impressed that they acknowledged the fact that we are doing some good work, that of sensitizing Cameroonians, that of enlightening people on certain topical issues that we normally treat in our TV programs, and they acknowledge the fact that we are still alive and staying strong. So I think most of the successes...
How is Manu?
Manu is up and down. It's up and down. There is relative calm in the central town, Manfe, and even in the central towns of Tinto and so on. But in the majority of the area, there is still a lot of tension. People move with a lot of caution. Even when you come in, they try to give you directives on how you have to move in terms of timing and places that you go to, how you talk, how you act, and all of that. But I would still want to use opportunity to appreciate the administration in the area for now, who have developed some sense of responsibility and have discovered finally that they cannot work against the people. You know, when this thing started in the Northwest and Southwest region, we came out and shouted that the worst thing to do was to attack the population. The worst thing to do was to give the population an upper hand, that the government or the state representatives there were against them. Fortunately, there is already some work that is being done in that effect, and you can see that as of now, some of the successes recorded so far in some places are on the basis that the population started collaborating with the administration. So we hope that they are going to reduce the loss of innocent lives. They are going to increase the sense of justice and good governance, which is already not bad but not fair.
But Dr. Seseko Eyongta Joseph, it's true that many Anglophones are now scared going back home, but on a daily basis, almost a weekly basis, you go to Manu, you are not scared?
I'm scared, but it's just that we don't have to be scared of our people and of our own area. You know, if we don't go down, then the solution will never come to fruition. Who are those to talk to the military, the gendarmes, the police? Who are those to talk to the armed civilians? Who are those to talk to our people to know that there is still hope? We must take the challenge. And I think as a traditional ruler in the making, it's my responsibility to become used to the people, to become used to the administration, and take the utmost sacrifice, which is that of being at the forefront, then the people follow. For example, when I go down, I make sure that I stay up to a certain hour. If there is any problem, be it with the government or be it with those boys, I have to intervene. I can't count how many times I have followed them to the bush to go and release somebody who was kidnapped or whatever it is. I'm saying it without any fear of favor. because everybody knows what is happening there. And whenever I meet with the administration, they know my little advice that I give them. If you take, for example, the Joe of Upper Banyan subdivision, who is a young guy, is our generation, he has come, he's putting a lot of dynamism, you know, and I just pray and hope that he's going to get to the result without being influenced by some failed persons who think that they can always use people to influence what is wrong.
What is the difference between the chief and the Seseko?
Well, the Seseko is the traditional title from the highest sacred society in Upper Banyan, in Manu, that is the Ekpe. They are the makers of chiefs, while the chief is a traditional ruler of a village. And so there is a clear-cut difference, but everything being equal, all traditional rulers are given a Seseko title, either by honorary situations or they inherit it from family perspective. And so that
your own is what?
My own is the Seseko title is inherited from family. It's not my Ekpe, it is the family Ekpe, such that, for example, if I am no longer there, it is not my child who automatically takes the throne or takes the title. The family will sit and look for a competent prince who fits into that. And that you have to start preparing your children to know that this is not your thing. It's a family thing.
This television is blessed this evening, given that we are with a Seseko. Believe me, we are protected. Equally sitting beside me is, of course, Hassan Sama. When we talk resolution of conflicts, he is one of the experts, and we know that in the Southwest and Northwest, we have been having the conflict for the past 6 years. Certainly, he has been looking for solutions, seeking for solutions. He is here with me, Hassan Sama. We say good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Tabi, for remembering me today. And I want to reassure our listeners, who I know that are in their millions outside there, that it has been a while I've not been here. Nobody should blame the director of CAMDIS, because he has been doing all he can to see that I be part of the debate here, but I was not really available.
Some thought that maybe you have crossed the carpet.
No, I cannot cross the carpet at this age, because I will look very upward. A bended stick cannot be straightened. So I want to thank you very much, because sometimes if I stayed off the air, especially in this your studio, I wanted to find out if at all my presence here means anything to you. But all the time that you have been struggling to invite me and I've not been coming, gave me the impression that at least I'm worth something. I want to thank you for that impression you have given. I want to assure our listeners that where I left here, the imprint that I left here, I've come back to continue where it was. And but I want to assure them once more that we have come.
Is that we have an answer there. Number 311, 311.
And that is the reason why I said this time I must honor you, because to have reached where you are today, it is thanks to your competence. And I want to be very rest assured that you will be here for as long as possible. I am an old man. So, thanks once more, and I want to thank the panelists, my co-panelists, are the people who matter. When I saw the flyers, names, I said, no, I cannot miss this opportunity, because despite my age, I know here I'm going to learn a lot from Mr. I don't want to introduce anybody from the experts who are on the panel here. I'm going to learn a lot from them, and I think that they are going to, what they will learn from me may be my experience in life.
Okay, we say thank you for coming, Hassan Sama. Equally with us, he is a sports analyst. When we talk analyzing sports, and especially football in Cameroon, we cannot call names without calling the name of Raymond Elume. Raymond Elume, we say good evening and welcome to the Republican Debate.
Good evening, Tabe Clarkson. Thank you for having me once again.
How are you today?
Good.
Nice to have you on the panel tonight, Raymond Elume. And without any hesitation, waste of time, we shall begin with our first topic of the day. The topic, of course, is the state budget 2023, why an increase as compared to 2022? I will begin with you, given that you work where those MPs are. Mr. Hassan Sama, tell us the state budget deposited the other day in the House of Assembly. Why this increase?
Thank you once more. But before we go, it will be wise for us to let the public know what is called a budget. When we talk of the state budget of Cameroon, we are talking of what the state thinks it can do for its citizen in order for the citizen to live a better life. And state budget means the income that will come in and how it will be spent. So every association, every community, every state usually come out with a budget and to run its affairs. And so this year, as usual, I want to think that in the 70s, the budget of Cameroon was less than 200 billion. And today it has been increasing year in, year out. And I don't think that I'm surprised with the increase. If you are bringing it up for us, it's just for us to edify the public. And I want to tell you that you don't expect me to be too academic here, because it will not help. The communication will not go through. So I will go to the earth level so that people can understand what it means. It means that the state of Cameroon says they have things that they intend to do for the benefit of the society. And to do these things, they need money. So they have now to come out with the projects and then look for how to raise this money, what we call the state budget. It has always increased yearly because of the exigencies of life. We know that while the government is thinking of one thing, other happenings may come into play. It means that the government will have to see to it that how does it resolve this problem that was not there. That's why they call that budget a provisional budget. It is never, even in your little association, in the quarters, in your family and the like, no budget is in itself exhaustive. You always have this idea of, say, okay, this is what we can work with, but as time will go, we will see adjustment that can come. That's why in the budget of every state, there's always this miscellaneous that is there. And now you made mention of a certain head called head 65 and head 94. Yeah, these are the heads that every state, they may term it in different, in other places it may be called head 1 or head 2 or head 1. In Cameroon, it's called head 65 and 94. That's where we come in for the unforeseen. Things that you had budgeted and the circumstances that came up and then maybe distorted the fluidity with which you were supposed to see things go through. So these heads are the ones that will come in.
Money have been embezzled there.
Yes, what has happened is that if money has been embezzled there, it is, to me, it doesn't surprise me because we know the country, the state we are dealing with, a kleptomaniac state. It will always behave that way. So why the money was there, and see, we don't even the head of the state that is supposed to be the supervisor. We don't even see the head. We don't even hear the head. The head is there, and people are acting based on the so-called high instructions. And so, if they have come out now to realize that something went wrong or has been going wrong, it is thanks to some of us who in panels like this, we will try to remind them that something is going wrong somewhere. Thanks to people like some parliamentarians, like OC, like Jean Michel, or in short, some opposition parliamentary members of parliament who will remind them that something is going wrong. So now the question is that the increase for what? The next question that maybe have not asked, let me ask and answer.
No, that is the question of the day.
Why have you increased the budget? Well, if you have increased the budget in order to help the downtrodden, maybe live a better life, we applaud. But if you have increased it and you have increased your bonuses at the high level there, it will not help the state.
The level of embezzlement.
A level of embezzlement, it will not help us in any way. So it is necessary that a budget should be for a country, but each time there's an increase, there should be a reason plausible enough for the downtrodden, for the masses to enjoy that increase.
Yeah, to feel
but
that impact,
the
of
next
course.
thing maybe we'll ask when we'll go to the next round is, was it necessary for the increase?
Okay. Dr. Chief Seseko Eyongsa, tell us, you have equally heard news of this, you have heard the news of the increase of the budget, state budget. What is your take on that?
Well, I think as Mr. Hassan said, the budget of a country is just like every person who works or who does something for a living and who receives money, which we normally call an income, the money that you get from the different things that you do. And then when that money comes in, you have to spend the money on doing certain things, which is called the expenditure. So the budget of a state constitute the different outlets that the government gets money, which is called the income, and then the expenditure, how the government spends the money, either through ministries or through specialized institutions, they call that the expenditure. So when you look at the budget, as you said, why an increase as compared to 2022, we should remind our televiewers that in 2022, the budget was about 6 billion or 6 billion 80 million francs CFA. And in 2023, they have increased it to about 6 billion 200 and something million. Billion. So which means that there is an increase of about 4.4%. or 4.5%, something of that sort. If not, my arithmetic may not be too good. So it shows that there is an increase of 4.4%. In real terms, it is expected that the livelihood of Cameroonians and whatever is supposed to be increased by that rate. And so when you ask yourself, if there is a 4.4 increase, the question we are asking ourselves without being members of government or the parliament is, the increase has been tailored to which sector of the economy? And if it is tailored to sector A or B, is it in relation to the evaluation of 2022 and haven't seen that those sectors suffer the most? And if they put that 300 billion that has been added to those sectors, it is going to improve the livelihood of Cameroonians. The answer may not be very yes as far as I am concerned, on the basis that the same persons who conceived the budget of 2022 are the same person who conceived that of 2023. And from every indication, it is difficult to actually pinpoint success stories of the 2022 budget in terms of this was previewed, this was realized, and it is visible to the eyes of Cameroonians.
It's difficult to pinpoint.
It is very difficult to pinpoint in terms of they budgeted that the central region will no longer have water shortage. And it is already on, people can see pipes here and there, water is already flowing in some areas and so on. They budgeted that the hospitals are going to be this way, either from subdivisional level or district centers. We are not seeing that. We are not seeing the fact that the roads, people decry that there were potholes everywhere, traffic jam everywhere, and the roads in these towns are being improved on. Because these are the strategic and basic aspects that should be improved on. So, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, for the budget to be increased yearly, it is a normal phenomenon for any developing country or for any country that is progressing. And by budgetary increase, it also means that the economy is progressing. The economy is increasing. Because, let me get it this way, Tabi. When they decide to do budget and they say the income will be 6,300 from 608, it means that from the collections, they notice that they could collect more. Because the income aspect is collection, either from customs or from taxes, which are the highest contributors to the income. So if they increase the budget, it means after looking at what happened in 2022, it has been noticed that in 2023 they can collect more. Now, Tabi, if this budget has actually been done for the good of the population, as you rightly asked, the question is, who are those to improve the population welfare? There are two: the councils, local councils, and the regional councils. You will see that these ones are not yet talking about budget. Their sessions normally come after this one has taken place because they are going to get subventions from this budget. It therefore means, to me, we are still waiting. If the parliamentarians who have, how do we call it, giving them part of our sovereignty to use for us to defend us, will be able to go through that budget and actually give us the desired analysis. Unfortunately, I know that they will have 2 or 3 days to work over the document, which I see very lengthy and thick. Most of them are not financial experts like I am. So will they be able to defend our interests? Will they be able to know which strategic parts of that budget to hang on so that they can impose on the government so that something can be done about it? That is a question we may have to come back here at the end of this session to see if the parliamentarians have said anything useful concerning the population or not.
Concerning the population or not, we know that they are there to represent the people, the MPs, of course, members of parliament. And when we are talking state budget, of course, the interests of the people should be taken into consideration. And of course, Raymond Elume, what is your take on this issue of the state budget? Why an increase as compared to 2022?
The normal question for any right-thinking Cameroonian would be inflation. That would be a clear-cut answer. We are seeing the high rate of inflation, which keeps on increasing in our basic commodities. I think 3 days ago, there's a soap that I usually buy. I sent my daughter to buy that soap, and they had already increased, I think, 50 to 100 francs. I think it was about 75 francs. So, I mean, if you go to the market today, the high rate of inflation, especially on basic commodities, it's a worrying factor. When you called me up for the debate, I think apart from the sporting aspect, I had to first of all refresh myself on notes that we're having in Form 4, Form 5 in economics. What is a budget? I even had to call a friend, APA James Kill, who is I know he's an economics teacher in one of the private universities around. And the explanations he gave me were quite logical. If you look at, after we had the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, most economies around the world have been hit. So in terms of import and export, it is very difficult for you to be able to import, and also very difficult for you to be able to export. How many people are using your products? How many people are you requesting products from them? If you take, and now it pushed me to even go to World Bank statistics. If you look at the World Bank statistics for the past 8 years in Cameroon, the lowest, when our inflation was like, I mean, our lowest inflation rate was in 2016. We had, I think, 0.64. Our inflation rate last year in 2021 was 2.26. But current World Bank statistics say that our inflation rate is 4.58. That's already like double the amount. And I mean, I want to be honest with Mr. Hassan to ask that he should tell us, because we had taxes which were included in the budget of this year, which had an increase in commodities like flour, like sugar, like beer. Let Cameroonians know, in January, are we going to have new beer prices? Are we going to have new prices for bread? Are we going to have new prices for sugar? If you go to the common stores that we go around, but things are not moving. I mean, you don't have any salary increase, but you are being forced to be able to buy the products that you see on the shelf. Products of prices have increased, prices of
basic commodities.
No, I mean, apart from prices of basic commodities, prices for health products has increased. Prices for car spare parts have increased. So, how do we cope with this rising inflation? If you take our gross domestic product, if you take our employment rate, I mean, the employment rate in Cameroon always stays around 3 to 4%. If you take the youth employment rate, it is between 6 to 8%. But you ask yourself the question, we have so many jobs which are not classified as white-collar jobs or even blue-collar jobs. So how, I mean, we know the unemployment rate in our country that it is very high, especially youth unemployment rate, very, very high. But how come we have these statistics? Simply because our economy depends on services. I mean, our contribution to our gross domestic product is agriculture, enterprises, and services. Those are the only things that we provide. We are not a mechanized economy. We are not a producing economy. Our wood goes out, our coffee, cocoa, rubber, all of this goes out, banana, I mean, every single thing. What do we, I mean, you want to buy a small cup of yogurt, you hear prices 500, 600, but meanwhile, I think the government would have been better encouraging companies to step up here, so that, yes, private individuals, so that we don't get to import so much as we are doing. I mean, if you take your kid to a store, what he's interested in is in foreign chocolate. He doesn't even want to see the mambo which is there. And I think when you get news that, I mean, the budget is being increased up to that amount, the first question that comes to mind is, are we even domestically going to be able to produce that money? Because sometimes we hear newspaper captions. Our port authorities in Douala have realized for a quarter, they've been able to realize 20 billion francs CFA. But I don't think these sensational captions from newspaper is what we need. What the common man on the road needs is that, how do I get commodities at low prices to permit me survive?
We have an economist here, they call him Dr. Cho Waters. Dr. Cho Waters, we say good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening to you, Mr. Tabian, to my co-panelists and those watching us from their homes.
The state budget 2023, you have equally heard of the increase of the state budget. What is your take as compared to 2022?
I think when you ask that question to an economist, he or she will tell you that there's something lacking in that question. Because normally they're supposed to have an increase in the budget. The budget is first of all a document that shows provisionary expenditures.
No, that is a mix-up, Rodrigue. Here is Dr. Cho, that is Dr. Cho Waters.
A budget is first of all a forecasting document that presents different expenditures and income, revenue that will be used to carry out a series of action or a plan of action over a given period of time, from January to December, what we call the finance law. So the budget is not money that you already have. It's something that you are projecting the future, and you have a strategy to see how you are going to attain to achieve the objective by using what we call the national economic resources. When you define that budget, you discover that in your question you need to ask why and what for. Because there should be an increase. There must be an increase in the budget.
Always an increase.
Yes, it is an economic problem. What we call our wants are unlimited, but the means to satisfy them is always unlimited, which means that our scarce economic resources in the country.
Talk to your microphone.
Our scarce we have economic resources that gives us revenue to finance our projects. They are limited in supply, but our demands are unlimited. That's why there must be an increase. After talking about this, I will now answer a question. There is an increase because we have just one macroeconomic policy, which is the budget. Normally, we're supposed to, in an economy, we're supposed to have the commercial policy, the budgetary policy, and the monetary policy. Since we have difficulties with the monetary policy, with the French zone, with the France CFA, we have difficulties with the commercial policy, with the problem of export and import explained by Mr. Lome. They were just explained to pushing factors for an increase in budget. Now, the budgetary policy is the only one we are using, and we must increase. That's the condition. If we're having the other two policies, we may
Even
not.
if the 2022 budget was not exhausted, we have to increase again?
We have two conditions for the increase. That one explained to you.
Yeah.
One policy used in Cameroon, the budgetary policy. And secondly, we are under structural adjustment. Meanwhile, the FME, the International Monetary Fund, is controlling our budget. They asked us to reduce the prices of fuel. We did not. They're angry. We left 2006 with about 900 billion francs as what we have in our coffers as benefit. But after 2006, 2022, we have discovered that we are going to 13,000 billions as debts that we owe, and 9,000 billions as debts that we have to pay in currency. The rest of the billions we have to pay them maybe internally. The 9,000 billion have to come from our export, but we export less. We have a budgetary deficit, first of all, balance of payment deficit. So that is what I can tell you as an economist.
And you say, can we raise the money, that increase, that 6,000 billion francs CFA, 600 and 300 and something billion francs CFA? Can we raise it in 2023?
It depends on the economic resources that we have. we have, I think we have cocoa, we have coffee, timber, gold, bauxite, iron, copper. It depends on the resources people have, whether from agriculture, from the forest, or maybe from the ground. If the economic resources are available, then you can attain the 6,000. If they're not available, it's difficult to attain.
Your microphone.
Yes, if it is not available, it depends on what you have. Because what you have is the money that you have to pay for what you want. That's the
All
deal.
these explanations that you are explaining, Dr. Cho.
Yes.
Those watching us, the buy and sellers, the layman on the street, what should he or she understand?
They should understand that the Cameroon government depends on 25% of the budget, which are the civil servants. When they go to the bank at the end of the month, the economy is booming. When they don't go to the bank, business is not turning. That's what I can explain today.
So when they are going to the bank, it means things
we first of all have an under-consumption of the budget, which is 25%. It means that we depend on the public service. If there was no public service in Cameroon, business would not be up to a level like in Nigeria, or maybe in Switzerland or in Russia.
It's true that Raymond Elume wants to react. Raymond Elume wants to react. Raymond, you just listen to Dr. Cho before we take a Sama. Yes, Raymond Elume?
Yes, I think listening to Dr. Cho is, I think it's like, I'm a science student, it's like listening to my economics teacher from 3, from 4, from 5. But I don't think that is what the public, they want to hear. Let me take, for example, those of us who are living here in Yaoundé. When you are coming back from Douala, for example, or you are coming back from the west region, that's around Kometu, or you are coming back from Bankomo. At first, you knew that if you are buying what is normally known as boboro, which is made from cassava, you were buying 10 for 1,000 or 5 for 500. Now it is 8 for 1,000. And you have these people who are doing what people say, economy which is not classified, business which is not classified. They are petty traders. You have them telling you that there is no cassava in the bush, and you ask yourself the question, where did the cassava go that is no longer in the bush? That is the first thing. Now, when you say the budget has to be increased, I don't dispute that fact. But if you don't consume all the budget of the previous year, when you are increasing, are you including the one that you did not consume and adding to the one of the year after? Now, we are just from hosting an AFCON. We are just from hosting an AFCON. It means that from 2016 to 2021, nearly all our resources were geared towards infrastructure. That is, we had stadia to build, we had hotels to put in place, we had hospitals to do this. So most of the state resources were geared towards this tournament from 2016 to 2021. Now, after 2021, there are private companies which took loans in banks. So they will expect now that, okay, from that 1 month period that each of these competitions were held, because in 2016 we hosted the women's AFCON, in 2020 we hosted the SHAN, in 2021 we hosted the AFCON. So which means that those who took loans from banks, they will now be expected to pay based on their various periods. When they take loans, they're expected to pay either per month or per year and all that. So recently we got news that the name I know it in French, Caisse d'autonome d'amortissement, was saying that the exchange rate, that is the dollar to the franc CFA, is changing such that our external debt has already increased. So these are one of the questions I'm asking, because we may respond to the layman, but also respond to people who are thinking that if we have that increase in exchange rate, and given that our external debt is paid in dollars, is that why they're increasing the budget? And also, is it why we have that increasing inflation that you cannot buy basic things now in Cameroon, such that we are able to live well even with the minimum? Because if we have a minimum base salary in Cameroon, which is 30-something thousand, can someone right now live with that minimum base salary?
Yeah, thank you. Just in 1 second.
Yes.
Just in 1 second. I want to answer the question.
Dr.
Yeah,
Cho.
Mr. Alome is right. He's right.
We are coming to you, Dr. Cho. I know what I'm saying, so we are coming to you. It's time for us to have...
Just that he may say something which is in line, and
Okay.
we
Yes,
as an economist have to
yes.
correct it before we move to the other person.
Okay, go.
I'm
go,
saying
go,
that
yes.
a budget is executed from January to December. 1st January to 1st December. That is what is included in the finance law. Then our choice, building stadiums, construction road is bad. There are bad choices that the government has used, which has provoked an increase in budget. The bad choices and wasting of time and embezzlement, not paying our debt that has increased, has made now the dollar and the euro to fluctuate, to affect us. It's just a pull factor. So we should blame the government. We should blame the government.
Blame the government for what?
We should blame the government for misusing the budget and for underutilization of the budget. Because we don't know. We pay our debts in currency. We don't pay in franc CFA. And so we blame the government for not well using the budget. And when currency fluctuates, it might be maybe to our favor or to our disfavor. And now it is in our disfavor.
The question of Elume again, when the budget of 2022 is not completely used or exhausted.
No, we don't have any confidential document that shows it was not completely exhausted, but from the National Assembly, it shows that if they are voting the next budget, automatically in principle in economics, the one has already been used. If you have not filled the usage, it means it has been embezzled or the money has gone somewhere.
Okay, maybe that's why we are talking of like 94 and 65. Yes, Hassan Sama, you just had the economists talking. What is your take?
Yeah, as I earlier indicated that when I saw the people for the panel today, I was elated because I knew that I was coming here to learn. But I want to remind the economist, Dr. Cho, and I don't know why he's not. I think that you are an economist too, because what you have explained here is too academic, even for some of us. Yes, but I want to remind you people that he answered the question, or he even answered the question. Each time the budget, a new budget comes to the National Assembly of Cameroon, which is a rock state. You know why I call rock state? Which is going towards failed states. Everything is 100% utilized. So, then the second thing I want to remind you is that the question that you have been asking, you have that puzzles. You have a rhetorical question. Some of the rhetorical I ask myself is that when they say a budget is something provisional for income and expenditure, and a small borehole water system that is doing done somewhere will borrow money, but in the budget you find it there that they had to do this in this place. But when they do it there, will borrow money, and that is where all this 13,000 billion that he is just declared here for us is coming from. And the question that I always ask myself, despite the little education that I've had, I'm unable to answer why is it that we have a budget to do this and that, but each time we do those things, we borrow. And then at the end of the day, they bring the budget and tell you that it is completely exhausted. You try to pull my legs here. Maybe you think that I'm not a parliamentarian. You said when I will take over, I may be able to answer some questions whether this increase is going to have an impact
On
the population. No, I have not. This is the document I've just picked now. And this is the document that I've given them, as a young one said, they expect them to read within 2 hours and defend the budget. No budget is being defended in Cameroon. I hope that tomorrow they will not arrest me that I've declared any secret. There's no secret there. They don't defend any budget. They come there, exchange pleasantries, eat biscuit and drink, and then they go there. And the highest prayer they have there.
MPs are not working?
Well, if people have 12 months salary and they come to Yaoundé for 3 months, you should know they are not working. It's not me too. Not from this my mouth that it will come out. So when they come, what they do is that they for pleasantries and give the impression that they are doing something. They go them back, collect their allowances, try to blackmail the few ministers they can blackmail to have this or that, and they go there. Frankly speaking, it is an embarrassment for us to be talking about budget. Unfortunately for me, I've never had time to really make comparative analysis of other budgets. If I've done it, I would have been a very happy person on this platform. I've not had it. So the whole thing is that all what people have said here, it is too academic for the common man to understand. You claim that you thought that he was too academic. You too were too academic. It is the common man. If there's an increase, if there's an increase in a budget,
yes,
the common man should feel it. As long as the common man does not feel it, it's of no use.
When there is an increase, the common man should feel it. Yes, Siseko. At least we are traditional rulers, speak for the people.
Well, Tabi, you know, I will sync you up with what Hassan has said. When there is an increase in budget, which to me is not a problem, the question is which loopholes have been identified that warrant the increase or that have necessitated an increase. Because until that is explained to us, I will not claim here that I'm an economist or a financial expert, that I will ever understand what they are saying. All what everybody will explain to me will not make sense. Because as I said before, if we go by the fact that certain problems were clearly identified or diagnosed in 2022, amongst which is the aspect of inflation which Mr. Elume has raised, increase in prices. When they are doing a budgetary session or budget, as it is the case now, we would have clearly been expecting that there will be a lot of shouting and talk about measures that have been taken to fight that aspect. And that this budget has been increased by 260-something billion in order to assist that element. Every basic person will understand, where they will say maybe rice was increased by this. 100 billion will be sent to rice producers so that rice price will drop back to this. They will say soap was increased by this because of cooking, what do they call it, palm oil production. They are going to subvent it. They leave us the rest about, because all the other explanation will not make sense to ordinary Cameroonian. What we are interested in is budgetary increase has taken place. What will it benefit the common man? And so, as far as I'm concerned, all those issues of salaries, infrastructure, that will still be the same stories. Because if you look at it very well, the budget has been increasing since independence. But the country has been retrogressing since independence, which means that there is a problem between the income and the expenditure, which means that there is a problem between the priorities in the budget and the execution of the budget, which means that there has been a priority between a comparative analysis of what happens in the previous budget and what has to happen in the next budget. Tabi Clarkson, every month that we get our little income, we always look at the challenges that we had in the past month. And if we did not resolve them, what do? When we take the salary this month, the first thing that we put there are how to resolve those problems we did not resolve. Let me take a simple case. This month I had to pay my children's school fees. And I could not pay the total. It was 100,000. I paid 70, it's remaining 30. When I'm taking the salary of December, I will make sure that the 30,000 for the school fees that I have not paid should be a priority there for me to pay it. Okay? So that is supposed to be the same thing with the budget. The budget was made, and they said we were going to make Cameroonians' life better, from the president's speech to the budget itself. The life has not been better. They have increased the budget. We are still going to see the same heading because it is the same ministries that did proposals. I think Ministry of Finance harmonizes and then comes out with that budget. The same people who did not achieve anything are the same people who have still come out with another budget which we will not see anything serious. So to me, the common man like me, we are still wondering if we are going to see any difference. I think, as we rightly said, the COVID money, for example, which has dropped drastically, they said they have reduced it by around 31 billion francs CFA from the initial amount or percentage, if I'm not mistaken. Now the question is, why do they even need to reduce just by 31%? It would have been even a matter of 50%. But in this case, they would have said the 50% that was budgeted for COVID in the preceding years will now be diverted to a specific aspect, where we will expect a parliamentarian next year, that is after 2023, to say that this year, last year, they said this money that was reduced for COVID will be used for this. We have not seen that done, just like Honorable Ninche usually does. Where you see he becomes popular, it is because he targets particular issues where he can make a reference. To say, from the budget last year, they said we were going to buy a telephone for 10,000. We have come and seen that the year has finished, they didn't buy that telephone. Or they bought the telephone for 2,000. Where has the 8,000 gone to? So until those type of analysis are done, to me, I would say they have just done what they usually used to do, and it was still going to pass like the wind, because I doubt if the parliamentarians, in diagnosing this document, they will be able to change a dot. They will be able to reduce an I, or they will be able to do any increase or subtraction.
When you are even a parliamentarian, Doc, maybe this question will come to Hassan Sama equally. when you have not gone to school, when you have not done economics, when you have not done, can you really debate or defend a debate?
Let me just
A budget?
Yeah, it is just like the question I used to ask some of these idlers on the street who say they are preaching the gospel, who cannot even read and write, but they are carrying Bibles upside down and preaching. And there are people they believing in them. You are believing what? The person cannot even read the Bible, but is there preaching to you coming from the very Bible that is holding upside down.
Because the most people that they are talking here, if somebody does not really
so what I want
mastery of it,
so as I earlier said, without trying to maybe humiliate any group of people, what they do there is that first of all, it is systemic, and if you want to go, you have to go too far. How do they first of all even come to parliament? How do they first come to parliament? Are they the best? No. Why they are coming there? Are they coming there for something? No. Do you remember? I want to remind you and the listeners that it was thanks to the advent of multi-partyism, where the opposition came to parliament, that I, who had gone to school, knew why what our parliamentarian was supposed to be doing for us. Can you imagine that when our parliamentarian in those days came to Yaoundé and came back, we contributed money. Our parents contributed money, bought palm wine to receive him. Meanwhile, he was carrying a budget, a micro project budget in his pocket. But we were the ones. And what did they do in those days? They made sure that inside that time it was 6 million. What they do is that they go inside the 6 million, they take 500,000 francs and put 50,000 francs and divide to the chiefs. But the chiefs will spend more than 500 to welcome them. So those questions, these are series of questions, rhetorical questions that we are all asking. You see, this is a doctor, all of us are asking the same question and we are unable to answer because dealing with a rock state, a failed state, where there's no head, there's nobody controlling the ship. The ship is gone.
How can you say it's a failed state?
Well, I have said it because a failed state, I may give you quality of failed state, but maybe this is not the program.
No, this is not the
Let me just add one thing for 1 minute. You know, the parliament, as Mr. Hassan knows, they work in what they call commissions. And there is a finance committee in the parliament that is supposed to be made up of experts in finance. The question is whether those who are there are experts. Because if they were experts and they were working freehand, they will be able to defend the people. They will be able to diagnose the budget from a professional perspective and be able to challenge the government in terms of what the people send them there to do and what that budget will be able to deliver as results. So the real problem there is not that all the parliamentarians should be expert in finances, because they cannot.
They cannot.
The second thing is that the people that they themselves finally select, in fact, I don't know whether they elect them or they select them to be in the finance committee, are selected under a proper profile or CV. And thirdly, is whether those people who are in that committee are conscious of their responsibility. And the last thing is whether they have a free hand to work. So the problem to me is not the general parliamentarians, it is the finance committee that does not have the appropriate people to do the work, or they don't do their job for reasons which Mr. Hassan said.
Let me just add 1 second.
Just to add,
no, 1 second. I want to remind you that you cannot say it is only solely for the finance committee, because there's a plenary session. In the plenary, everybody talks.
Agree.
Yes.
But you cannot say what you don't know.
So what I want,
because what will a parliamentarian like me, if I go there now, go and be talking about budget that can be humiliated?
I
will expect the finance committee member to have exhausted.
Let me just add you 1 point.
And then teach us.
Another point is that the parliamentarians are supposed to have parliamentary offices where they have to seek for the services
if they come and give them that 2 days, where would the expert get time to
that is the that where our problem.
That's why I said the problem is too far. The problems are too many. The problems are too many.
Dr. Cho Waters, when we talk increase and what for? We are concluding on this topic. What are you proposing? What do you think should be done?
There is nothing that can be done because we have, first of all, a budget deficit. In fact, you were telling us here that those who are listening to us that have not gone to school. I think that is clear.
I'm not saying that those who are listening to us have not
they
gone
don't
to school.
understand budget.
They don't understand.
You said that they will not understand.
You have to take an example.
Yeah.
You have to buy
some
10 bags
technical
of rice.
explanations.
You want to buy 10 bags of rice of 25 kilograms for 10,000 francs. because you know that they have visitors as from January 2023. What do? You say you are buying it for 10,000 francs. You in your house you have 30 visitors. In December 2023, you will have 25 visitors that will be coming from Germany. If you discover that you have gone to the market and the prices of each bag of rice has been increased from 10,000 to 15,000 francs, and you have just 100,000 francs with you, what will you do? You have to borrow to add to that to buy. It means that you are projecting, and when you project, you don't have money, you have to borrow because now the one you have is limited. So
there's nothing to be done.
No, there's not to be done because we have borrowed and we have not done what we're supposed to do. What do you want me to say? I don't want to go into polemics to say that there are people who are not competent to execute the budget. Now I'm telling you what is it. We have been telling the Cameroon government that what people are doing with the budget, the realities will deal with you. And this is where we are today.
If you budgeted 100 francs, for example, for 2022, you spend just 75 francs. The remaining 25 francs is mismanagement. How do they call it? Will you take it over?
It's what we call in French, randa, rapport à nouveau. It's carry over. What has been left should be carried over and imputed into the balance sheet at the debit side of the finance law beginning of as from January.
Because some people say that when the money is meant for pen, and instead of buying pen, you take the money and buy the books.
It's mismanagement. It's condemned by law. Yes. It's bad mismanagement. Yeah. But I'm telling you that there is nothing to be done.
Okay. we are concluding on this topic.
Yes, I mean, when we say there is nothing to be done, it is very, for me, it's very easy, very cheap to say there's nothing.
No, I'm saying based on facts.
Yes, I know, but
I'm analyzing the depths of Cameroon.
Yes,
saying that there's not to be done based on analysis from the depths of Cameroon. I'm not just saying it like.
No, I know. I'm just saying that it is. I mean, for me, it's very easy. It's very easy, very easy response. Easy in the sense that if we take our small Njangis, we always have a balance sheet presented by January or by February. That's either the first meeting or the second meeting when we end the calendar year in December. And but what we've noticed is that the budget has been or will be voted in November, December. The president will surely promulgate it by ending December, early January. And then we spend 3 months in budget limbo, doing nothing. And then we start executing the budget by March, ending March. And then you see the state will start sending notice to companies who are executing government projects that by ending October, you must be sure that you've executed what was previewed for that year, such that a new so it means we have from March, the 3rd month, till October. So it means that each time in Cameroon we have 7 months to execute a budget for 12 months. I always find that a very, very bad practice. But like I was saying, our hope is that the budget increase should also include either a reduction of basic commodities prices or an increase in salaries, both in the public and in the private sector. If that is not done, for me, that budget increase has no effect. But since we live on hope, and they have asked us to hope, let's
especially
continue
when there is
hoping.
life, there is hope. Yes, Seseko, we are ending on this topic. Maybe an advice to give?
Well, you know, generally, it is easier for a politician or somebody in government to tell you that the tortoise runs faster than a lion, or maybe faster than a dog. And when you ask them, they will give you reasons why they say so. We can only hope here that from the little talks of ordinary Cameroonians that we are, they will understand that we are speaking the voice of the majority and not the aspect of justifying that a tortoise can run faster than a dog. Because all of this is centered on the fact that there is a certain group of the all-knowing who are not delivering results. And then there is a majority not knowing who are expecting results and who actually say things that are pragmatic. Because just as you ask the question, is there nothing that can be done? Of course, there are many things that can be done. The problem is the impossibility to do it. Because take, for example, if from talking here, the parliamentarians hear us and decide to go into these documents and pick 1 or 2 things that each person can hang on. There are 180 of them. And let's just say 50 of them decide to talk on behalf of the people. The government was going to submit. I don't know if I'm making some sense. Because if they see 50 parliamentarians, both in the opposition parties and the government, who pick on particular things, different aspects concerning the interests of the people and target the budget session, definitely something is going to change. We have had situations where the budget has been increased because of other things that came up, either international shocks or internal shocks. So to me, those things can be adjusted because the budget is not yet voted. And even when they used to vote, we know the president has a presidential constitutional decrees that permits him to do certain adjustments. So our talking here is to tell him that 2023 is just 2 years for the mandate to end. And he can start using the budget to do certain structural adjustments that will impact the people, and they leave some of those extravagant talks and things that they explain to us that we don't understand. And I would like to end by saying that we have not in any way, maybe Dr. Cho did not understand what we said. We haven't said our listeners are not learned. We're saying that they cannot understand the budget like me, seated here also, in terms of the technical explanation that they are giving us.
We have many MPs,
so it is not centered on that. It is just a matter of placements of words. But we are saying that you people who are listening to us, like some of us here, are disturbed that the budget does not impact us as the years are going through. And we hope that this one will take into consideration most of our exigencies, especially in basic commodities and in terms of social facilities, schools, hospitals, roads, and why not in terms of medical facilities, so that we can get a better life in 2023.
As someone who talks of MPs eating biscuits and so on, we want to believe that maybe you're advising them not to eat again biscuits in Parliament.
Yeah, no, we're saying that while they eat biscuits, they should know that the people are waiting for them. For whatever action they are doing, it will have an impact on the people. I want to maybe, since almost the last word on this topic is to think that as long as we live, we should have hopes. If Dr. Cho says there's nothing to be done, I say, no, we are not dead. Only dead people don't have anything to do. As long as we live, as long as we're talking here, well, I'm now calling on the parliamentarians who will know Dr. Cho that this is an economist. And that they, I'm talking like insider, they have a budget for us, for their secretariats, which this secretariat was supposed to be in their different constituencies. They are not doing it, but they are collecting these budgets and embezzling. So they should put this secretariat and employ experts who will help them read some of this. Although these things always come very, very late when they are already here. That's where the problem is. The second thing is that the parliamentarians should put aside their self-interest, the so-called party discipline. You cannot come to the National Assembly or to Parliament and you are declared to be a parliamentarian for the nation, while there, what will impact the life of the population, you say no, as long as your party is not in line with it. I just hear, and I've not yet gone through, I hear that there are going to be more taxes this year. What we are watching at the so-called our representatives there. If they will sanction such a bill to pass through, saying that more taxes come, when we are unable, we are talking about inflation that Mr. Elume really explained there, we are talking about inflation, people can no longer respire, and as one man said, Kang Yaounde Respi, Cameroon V.
Okay.
That'll be just a second.
Is Cameroon, is Yaounde, Yaounde Respi.
Do you know that the budget was executed as from June because we had instructions from the International Monetary Fund? Now our budget is not controlled by the government, it's controlled by International Monetary Fund.
Yes.
How can you have my money and you want to pay me and you have goods to go and sell in the market? Will you sell at lower prices or higher prices? You have to sell at higher prices so I should have enough money to pay me. That's why taxes are being increased. That's just the simple reason. We are not the one controlling our budget. That's why I said there's nothing to do. You have borrowed money. You want to borrow more and you pay less so that you should give you more. You have not yet paid all what you have borrowed and now you want to borrow. You are still in trouble.
Okay, we are now moving on to our second topic of the day. We are talking the indomitable lions of Cameroon, Qatar 2022. Can we say that Cameroon can qualify for the next round of competition? And equally, the lessons of a defeat, because Cameroon was beaten by Switzerland. What are the lessons equally of Mbolo, who actually scored the goal against Cameroon, the goal that made the difference? Mbolo, of course, is a Cameroonian. And but before that, I would like, there is this issue of appointments in the Ministry of Secondary Education, given that we have a very good friend of Madame Nalova here with us. I would like him to say something on that, because we hear that there are appointments, and we hear that somebody was principal, in, for example, in Lycée Moliko, is made vice principal in Lycée Leclerc. Is that a promotion?
Well, Tabi, it depends on how people see it. If we go by the titles, you will see that it's a demotion. The fact that you are principal, even if it is in a school that has 5 students, you are a principal. And if somebody is a vice principal in a school that has 10,000 students, he is a vice principal. When they want to ask principals to pass, you will pass and the person will not pass. They may have financial benefits which are different, but in terms of post of responsibility and the government status, the principal is a principal. So if somebody is removed from principal post and sent to vice principal, no matter the caliber of school, it's not a promotion. So probably if you go and look at it, even though it came out as appointments, that person is probably as a sanctioned appointment, because the appointment that are sanctioned appointments. So I think that is the simple explanation to give to that aspect. You cannot be promoted when you are removed from...
when you're demoted.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, it's true that we shall organize another debate for that. I just wanted a friend of Nalova to answer that little question. Yes, our sportsman.
He would have been last.
Let
Let him be last.
it be last.
So we should talk all
No,
the
I
trash.
want him to start.
So
I want him to start.
let's talk all the
For
trash.
him to give us.
Let's talk all the trash.
Okay, let me give the mic to Hassan Sama.
Yes.
Hassan Sama,
Yes.
Switzerland versus Cameroon. The lessons of a defeat. What to take home after the defeat of Cameroon? The first match.
Yeah, I'm happy that you are giving me the floor so that I still have very little to contribute. Yes, but I will do my best. The first thing is that I will not claim here that I can talk about the match itself, that the practicalities on the field. We will have an expert here who can tell us better. Let me not delve into that. I will talk about the administration surrounding the team of Cameroon. I will start first with the minister. What role is the minister playing in the individual Lions? We saw that before this time, there were a lot of issues between the minister, Fekafood, and the like. And as usual, Cameroonians, as hypocritical as we are, they pretended at the last minute to greet each other and give impression that everything was well. That's how we live. Then you see, when you go now to Fekafood, you see a young man who did everything to become the president of Fekafood. We all applauded how he came up. And so far, we have discovered that this young man...
Is he doing the job? Is he delivering the
No,
goal?
this young man has become... is an embarrassment to common sense. In that, the job of a Fekafood president, to me, I may be corrected here, is an administrative function. But you see him in the dressing room, on the pitch, in shore, playing, he's everywhere, overshadowing the man he appointed. The third thing is, the man he appointed, was that the best choice? But we have come to realize that he didn't appoint that man out of competence. He appointed that man out of tribalism and out of pity and emotions. Because this is somebody who had been given other duties at a lower level, at 2 different levels. The expert will tell us, if I'm right, where he could not measure up. He was a failure. How do you fail at a lower level and they promote you at a higher level? But that's Cameroon's style, where when you embezzle the COVID money, you are promoted and you become a minister of state. So these are the things surrounding them. And then now, when you now come now to selection of players, You see some players, people, the whole world, even the person who doesn't have never played football, they're asking her, where is this person coming from? I don't want to call any names here. Why is this person not there? And then you see there's animosity amongst players. You even find a journalist called Jean Labenna, who is in a panel and tell lies about players that they fought. And Fekafoot, which is supposed to put order in the house, does not react. He allows it like that. Well, better the system the regime uses, like Mr. Pobia, he makes sure that he hits all your heads and comes back to give the impression he is the best. So these are the things surrounding. And then Embolo, the defeat. Apart from, I don't know who among us here who believed that we had a team. I don't think, because I didn't see the team that we had. We had 4 friendly matches. They can tell all types of stories. Oh, it was friendly matches. And so what? But when they're friendly matches, people win now. Others won. Why did you not win your own? 4 friendly matches, you didn't win any. And yet, you told the world that you were going to win the cup. And gullible Cameroonians believed. You know, Cameroonians like to set lies and believe their lies. And finally, Ombolo, I hear that when he scored in the South Province, somewhere people were watching the match, when they heard that Embolo had scored, they poured champagne because they heard their name was one of them. I was later on, they told that, do you know he scored against Cameroon? And then I was very angry with the guy. If I were a Swiss trainer, I will dismiss him from the team. You cannot, he was not playing there Cameroon, he was a Swiss. And why do you score a goal and refuse to jubilate? Why score? He could kick the ball off. And because since he was more Cameroonian on the field than being a Swiss that he was representing. So for him, the action that he did to me was very, very mean. And for me, I think that if they allow him to continue, it is unfair because he has not shown patriotism. Finally, you people had Swiss in front of you. Your president, his second home is Switzerland, Intercontinental. That's where he spent all his time. Patriotism was not divided.
No, we are talking
where were we now? Where was your president? Was he for the Swiss or for the home where he comes to visit?
He's a Cameroonian. He's the president of Cameroon. Yes, Dr. Cho Embolo talking to us after the goal or lessons of a defeat. What to take home? What to write home after Cameroon Swiss?
I think diverting our ideas and our minds towards Brel Embolo, because he scored, he was a Swiss. It became problematic to Cameroon as maybe taking it just like an excuse not to have performed well in Qatar 2022. I think is very wrong. If I was Brel Embolo, I would have even scored 2 more goals. When you look at the way they go to Europe to look for clubs and how they treat them when they want to come into national team, you understand what is going on. So we have so many problems internally. What those children are going through in Qatar is not because of them, it's because of us back here in Cameroon. Because we have not learned to make good choices. We have not said who should be where at what time and with who is competent. Because one, the problem that the national team has is the problem of staff through dictatorship in an indirect role. Very clear from somebody who is an authority in that federation. So when you take players from home who are not in activity, who are not playing in clubs, you just take them like that because we are not up to the task. Look at Senegal. Senegal has no local player. We have 2 local players, we have players who are not even playing. That's another one thing. Then secondly, when I look at the tactical classification of I want to analyze the match itself in order to pinpoint problems. I don't want to go into problems that we have in the country. One, when you go to the central defense, you call him Nicolas Kolo is useless. He's 0. During the match, I think I heard his name just twice or thrice. The rest were just hearing about other players. And then thirdly, when you go to the midfielders, Zambangisa has a problem playing forward. We have another one, Brian Bema, who is in attack with Kautoke Kambian Choupo-Moting. Choupo-Moting is very technical, but he does not score. Why is that we do not call Ganabo to come because he's the best scorer in his club? I don't know where it's now in France. What we were lacking there were people who can score, like we saw in Senegal. Not people who are just dribbling just around and playing backward, not playing forward. That was the problem that our attacker has. The midfielder, Zambangisa, Onla, and where is Ungwet or...
Yeah, Ungwet.
Yes. I don't know why Cham was not in. Why they did not bring in Cham?
Olivier Cham.
Yeah, Olivier Cham. I do not know. I don't know the role of Ondua. At that time, replacing Chupomo to bring up Bokabes. I don't know. When you remove a midfielder and you bring an attacker, I don't understand. The replacement were very wrong. I don't know what is going on. And before they reply, I saw Etopis having his phone, and after dropping his phone,
was the one making the replacement?
I don't know. I just saw him taking his phone, and after there was a replacement. So the problem the Indomitable Lions they have is that they have a problem of staff. They don't know how to make choices, and then there's an influence to the coach from somebody to an indirect role.
Okay, Dr. Ayo, you watched the match?
Well, I stopped in Boya because of the match, and I watched the match, but I would prefer that you give the floor to Raymond to have much time to talk, because I will have very little to add. So maybe Raymond should have more time.
Okay, Raymond Elume,
Simply add one or two words.
it's true that we are towards the end, but tell us, Raymond Elume, the lessons of the defeat, Cameroon-Switzerland?
The lessons of the defeat are multifaceted. But it's not a defeat which I think it is mind-crushing. Dr. Ayong is an educationist. Dr. Cho is an educationist. Dr. Cho, for example, when you start analyzing choices, you have to ask yourself, the students that you teach in SWA, do you also analyze their choices of the questions that they choose on the paper? Or would you say that somebody who has been failing for so long, and then all of a sudden you want that person to pass? We had lost 7 matches in a row, that is from 2002. The last time we won was against Saudi Arabia in 2002. The next match was against Germany. We lost 2-0. We came to South Africa in 2010. We lost all the 3 matches. We went to Brazil in 2014. We lost all the 3 matches. So that was 1 + 3 + 3, 7. So this was our 8th match. And we also lost. That's 8 matches in a row. And for you to be able to say that we were going to, like Hassan said, we're going to Qatar to take the World Cup. I mean, all of us went to school. We had friends who failed the mock woefully. Even in your mind, you were looking at a friend, you were looking at a classmate and say, will this one even pass? So, that is the situation that we find ourselves in. But like I said, the defeat is multifaceted. Multifaceted in the sense that we played the first half very well. We could have even been leading by 3-0. And I think Hassan and Dr. Cho would have changed their narrative if we were leading by 3-0 and we kept that scoreline till the end. If we had won by 3-0, Dr. Cho would not be saying the things that he's saying. That's the first point. The second point is that there were choices to make. And if you watch that first half, in my opinion...
Is the best team?
No, in my opinion, since Cameroon versus Cote d'Ivoire, November 2021, we have not played any football as better as what we played during that first half. Take all the matches during the AFCON, even the match against Egypt, we did not play as well as we played during that first half.
So it was a first
half for Cameroon. The problem is that the problem is that African countries have to learn. We are here today, and African country has lost. Tunisia has been beaten by Australia simply because Australia are going in with modern tactics of playing a match till the end and being able to train certain patterns, right? But Tunisia has lost. But if you take Tunisia is 30th in the FIFA rankings, Australia is 38th. So you expect that Tunisia will even overpower Australia. So when Rigobert Song says in the World Cup, FIFA rankings does not count, it is because Saudi Arabia was able to beat Argentina. Japan was able to beat Germany. These are things that happen.
As if Rigobert is nice in Proverbs than
Let us listen. Let us listen. No, for example, let us take 1990. If we take 1990, for example, if you take the players who were there, most of them were detected by national competitions that we had. I went to Sase. We used to have school holidays because they will leave us to leave from Sase and come to Bongo Square or go to Lycée Moliko and go and watch the Osuks. The Osuks game in this country were much more, sometimes even much more competitive than league matches in this country. Let us be honest. So I'm saying that one of the reasons of our defeat is based on the fact that we have structural problems. Structural problems.
Is it a problem?
For me, I don't think that it is a problem, because going to the World Cup, when Hassan is saying that he's on the field, but he was on the field in Blida training with the Lions, we won 2-1. So why is it that when he's on the field with, against Switzerland, we lose, and they start saying that he's on the field?
But
meanwhile,
what is the role of the president of a federation like FECAFOOT?
But the role of a president of a federation is administrative.
Yeah.
Now, the Cameroon text says when players are going for the World Cup, their bonuses are negotiated 3 months before time. Did Eto do it? Yes. FIFA law states that going to the World Cup, you have to be able to give your jersey patterns 3 months or 4 months before time. It is in FIFA regulations. Did our jerseys arrive on time? Yes. Those jerseys were given in August.
Must he influence replacements?
How did he influence how did he influence the replacement? Because when people are saying that he had the phone, so having a phone, I have a phone here. Does it mean that I'm calling to tell my family that I'm on Campaign TV?
Okay.
So when you say he had the phone, did he use the phone 4 times? Because Cameroon made 4 replacements, so which means that he used the phone 4 times. It means that for all the matches that we have been playing, he has been using the phone each time to influence. And we scored a goal to qualify at the 124th minute. Did he use the phone at that time for Fight to be able to cross the ball to gather and to? So coming back to the Embolo thing, we have to be able to recognize that there has been a lot of brain drain in this country. I'll give you one example. Dr. Kokobe Fonkem is my classmate. He is the brain surgeon who treated and who did surgery on John McCain, former presidential candidate in the United States. Now, such a brilliant brain surgeon, what is he doing in the United States? That is the question we have to ask ourselves. And there are so many examples.
So many Mbolos, eh? Yes. Dr. Cho, you wanted to react.
Honorable alone, I know they will give him honorable one day. I'm just deserve to be called honorable. What he's telling us, he doesn't want to tell you, Tabi, why is it that from 1990 we're playing with the tactical classification, what they call Shama tactic, or 4-3-3. From 1990 we're having 4-4-2. As from 2002, we're always 4-3-3, or maybe 4-4-4-3-4. Why is that we're using that tactical classification without having people who have speed in running to score? And we are not going to look for them in different clubs. That's the problem we have. Because when you take, for example, the one of the player one that we play against Switzerland, 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 attackers.
Yeah, 4-3-3.
Yes, there is what we call the Maitland line. He cannot tell you that. He cannot tell you. He cannot tell you. That's what we call the Maitland line. When you want to draw the Maitland line, you need to, first of all, because in the field we have 3 players. We have the players, we have the ball, and we have the field. If somebody is technical, those are some facts. He's technical, he's tactical, and he has the physical. If an attacker bypass a defender when you people are 4, it means there are 3 left. The 3 that are left, if are from the central defense, if the guardian is not wise enough, there will be a goal. If the guy has speed, that's exactly what will happen with Embolo. Because there was a leakage, and the guardian.
Nicolas Kolo did not play well that day.
I'm saying that I did not see his performance. He was underperformance that day. That is why there was no good mastery of the defense, and immediately there is a leakage. The guardian, the goalkeeper, is the last defender to see the ball, and so that is where the fault came from. The reason why we do not take Ganda or any other person to end. Then in the midfielder now, what people have chosen in those midfielders? You are based on what criteria? Because
he's not a coach.
No, he's an expert. And then the attacker now. The attacker, Cameroonians have proposed just 2, 4. That is 4-4-2, so that we can have Chukwuemeka Abubakar Benson.
Okay.
They run with speed.
Yes, before we take Hassan Sama.
No, you have a doctor.
Yes, let me clarify.
But I just want to clarify that when we played Côte d'Ivoire because our last qualification match was against Cote d'Ivoire to qualify for the third round. When we played Cote d'Ivoire, we played 4-3-3, and we won them 1-0. Toko Ekambi scored. I did not hear Cameroonians talk. We still played with Zambo, Umgwet, Hongla. We came to the AFCON. The first match, the first match that we played was still Zambo, Umgwet, Hongla. In the second match, the only change that we made was that Jerome Ongene was no longer there. It was now Castelletto who came in his place. When we went to Blida, it is the same thing that we played. So against Egypt, we still played with this same team. There have only been 2 changes, or I can say 3 changes. That is, if you compare the teams which played in the AFCON with the team which played against Switzerland, there have been 3 changes. That is, if in place of Ngade, we have Kulu. In place of Abubakar, we have Choupo-Moting. Why did we play with Choupo-Moting? Because he's in top form for his club. And in place of Muminga Malo, we have Brian Mbeumo. Why did we play with Brian Mbeumo? Because we have Muminga Malo, who has lost form. I mean, he even switched clubs. He left from Switzerland to go to Russia with Dynamo Moscow. Those are the 3 changes that we made. If not, the 8 players who have been there since November 2021 are still the same players which are there.
Dr. Eyongtan, maybe a word on this, Switzerland, Cameroon, lessons of a defeat?
Well, the first thing is that the Lions did not play poorly compared to my own analysis, but it is just that you cannot move from evil to good. Those boys are simply suffering from malediction. I would say that it's bad luck. The truth is that until things are settled, people will not use indirect glory in order to hide evil. The country is not good. They want to use social activities like football to cover those things. And I think it is time that the ancestors have said they need to go there and come back and settle and do things that are right. Because if these guys succeed to go far in this World Cup, trust me, Cameroonians will forget so many things. And then by the time they come back, they will start crying over Spain.
You say if they succeed, you are not sure they will succeed?
No, it will be an exaggeration to think so. Let me just hope, let me just pray that as they have started saying that if this one wins and this one loses, this one does as usual.
The mathematics have started.
Yes, so as a Cameroonian, I would want to hang on that for hope. But if you were to ask me deep in my mind, I think I have a different feeling. But for now, my feeling is that if they go to the second round, it's going to give us more interest to watch the tournament.
Okay.
Because of the fact that we are there. But to me, those guys have got nothing to be blamed. There is a problem that needs to be sorted out. And if that is sorted out, the gods will come. Don't forget, Embolo scored the goal because he had ancestral benediction that were genuine. Don't forget, there are videos to show that. Yeah. And so he went there and they decided to elevate him based on the fact that he has been suffering, he needed to come to the limelight, he needs to get better things after this World Cup, and the ancestors have done that. If we were to do the same thing and pure blessings are given to these guys, trust me, what is happening there will not be the same thing. So to me, let us keep the issue of Embolo this, Embolo that. If I were him, I would score. And as Hassan said, if he scores next match, he celebrates differently, the country should take note. Because that is being ungrateful to the country that has given you all. Brought you to the World Cup, the highest tournament of football in the world. The World Cup even, the highest tournament in the world. And then giving you a possibility to be an attacker. And then you cannot show them that you are grateful to that country. There is a problem. So I think that Cameroonians are matured enough not to see Embolo as unpatriotic to Cameroon because it's not against Cameroon. It cannot be an enemy. Because one, the benefits that Embolo will bring to Cameroon, very few politicians and many Cameroonians can do that in terms of his input and investment. I saw how he went to the palace. I saw the place that they live and other things that I'm sure he is doing. So he is just one of the many diasporans who go and take from outside and bring back home.
Okay.
So
Yes,
they should look
we
at it
need
from
more.
that
We
perspective.
need more effort.
30 seconds.
Yes.
We are concluding. 30 seconds.
Yes, I'm 30 seconds. I'm already about 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
If next match, our projection for the future is that Switzerland already has 3 points. Brazil has 3 points. Serbia has 0 point. Cameroon has 0 point. And we are playing against Serbia. Which means that if we win, we will win Brazil. Can we win Brazil? That's a $1 billion question.
Nobody knew that Saudi
but it's
Arabia
only
was
an
Argentina.
possibility. based on statistics with our games with Brazil or any other country that resembles Brazil, it has always been an impossibility. If we win Serbia, I think
Brazil won't, eh?
so.
We can still win them.
The only chance we have is that if you can play 4-4-2, the two should be Abubakar and Chopo. If someone misses this classification, we are coming back.
Okay.
Because we cannot even make 2 victories. It's first of all an impossibility to make 2 victories. We're coming back on Monday. Even if we win, we are coming back.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Cho, for your 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Hassan Sama.
Yes, I will take 5 seconds to answer Mr. Alume. Mr. Alume said the very thing we are condemning today happened in Bleeder and we did not condemn. No, the train that makes news is the one that comes late. And if your child steals 10,000 from you and plays a lottery game and win 1 million, is that child no longer a thief?
He's still a thief.
Correct. So for me, as far as this thing is concerned, I'm not being unpatriotic. I'm just being trying to be realistic. What I have been seeing, I've been following football. I used to play football too, but let me not say I don't know it now. What I know, if Cameroon makes a draw
against Serbia,
a draw, whatever who, I had said this thing. If you have been following me on the social media, if Cameroon makes a draw with any match, you people, I will give a crate of beer for this group. You call me, I will give a draw. I don't want to talk about winning. So what will happen is that they will come back as they had earlier gone. But my problem is that the youth, like Elume, you people, are you people ready to take over? If one of you is not doing something well, can you not curse? Have you people been cursed? Okay. If Eto is not doing the right thing, say he's not doing the right thing. Eto should allow some that he put there do his job. Okay. Allow the technical staff do their, all of them are incompetent. But he's
thank you, Asad Sama. 30 seconds. We are concluding. Of course, Raymond Elume, you have 30 seconds, please.
Yes, I think the Lions are still in Qatar. They are playing for the green, yellow with the star in the middle. The anthem is going to be sung minimum for the 2 matches that we have. And
it's a pride there.
Yes, I mean, it's a pride to play for your country. If there is something that the president of the federation said, is that you have to give your all on the pitch, and that if on the day your opponent is better than you, then so be it. I mean, I've read 4 or 5 Swiss journals which criticized their own team and said they were lucky to win against Cameroon. I mean, there are many other analysts, be they here in Africa, be they in Europe, be they in America, who said Cameroon played very well. So my fervent wish is that we should play well against Serbia. We played well. We should play well against Brazil. If we are to come back,
should play better.
We come back. And it would not change. I mean, if you care, you remove. I mean, we removed Conceição. We put Rigobert Song. It is the same players. You remove Rigobert Song, you put in a new coach. You are not going to fabricate a new Choupo-Moting. You are not going to fabricate a new Abubakar Vincent. You are not going to fabricate a new Castelletto or Andron Nana. Okay. It will still be the same players that new coach.
Thank you, Doctor.
Well,
we are going.
Tabi, injustice has never gotten victory, and if he gets victory, he gets it at short notice.
Injustice
has never gotten victory, and even if it does, it is at short frame. It's a short lifespan. You know, if I take by the fact that, for example, I stand by somebody who said Ngadjo was supposed to be in that team, irrespective of what he did, just for the fact that he took part in the qualification matches, and
leaving him is a side of injustice.
Yes, a side of injustice. And to be honest with you, injustice is part of what is haunting that team. So until when some of those proclamations and confessions are made, be rest assured that even if that team was to play with Canon or was to play with Bamenda, the chances of winning are very slim. As it is said in my dialect, an elephant cannot hide in a granite farm.
Okay. We say thank you, the traditional ruler, the chief, the Seseku, the doctor. We say thank you for coming. Thank you, Raymond Elume. Thank you, Dr. Joe Waters, and equally my very good friend, the expert in conflict resolution. We say thank you, Asad Sama. It's a good comeback.
I hope so. I hope so. I'll always be there with the good panelists.
Okay, Mbolo is not an enemy.
Is it?
he is a son of the soil. He remains a son of the soil.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that he is now playing, defending the colors of another country. Well, we at the level of CAMDIS, we shall continue supporting the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, given that we are Republicans. Well, it's on this note of hope, hoping that Cameroon will win Serbia on Monday, that will put an end to this another edition of the Republican debate on the Republican television. Till then, we say, may God Almighty continue to bless the Republic.